All right, at this time, I'd like to call the Adams County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. I'd like to start off, first of all, by, instead of our invocation, we're going to have a moment of silence. For those of you who don't know, Supervisor Warren Gaines lost his mother last night, and at this time, we're going to have a moment of silence in honor of her. Amen. Amen. Sheriff, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, we're going to have a roll call at this time. Supervisor Ricky Gray. Present. Supervisor Angela Hutchins.
Here.
Supervisor Kevin Wilson.
Present.
Supervisor Warren Gaines. Supervisor Wes Middleton present. Yeah. Board Attorney. Present. Chancery Clerk.
Present.
Deputy Clerk.
Present.
And County Administrator.
Present.
Also present is the sheriff who's here.
Next on the agenda is approval of the dockets.
So
Second.
A motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
I
just got a question. Is the interfund loan for self-funded health insurance, is that because something going on? We got more than we budgeted for. That's why we loaning money to for to take care of health care. Self-funded health care.
the interfund loan is because when the health insurance account falls short, we have to transfer money out of general funds temporarily to cover the cost for that month. So it's like when they say interfund loan, we put it back into the general fund account once we receive the money. So they just short that month.
President, could we be our insurance agent, not this meeting, but probably the next meeting, to come over to talk to us about insurance?
Yeah, I don't see that being a problem.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is city government business, if any. I don't see anybody here with the city, so we're going to pass that up. Next will be departmental reports.
Good morning. This is Ted, and I was just to request approval to advertise for a deputy clerk position, filling a position that Keisha moved from.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Hutchins. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. Francis, do you have anything?
Good morning, board. I do. I know that previously we were not able to purchase with Big M, and now there's been a change in management and ownership. And I was just wanting to request the board if we would be able to start purchasing from them. They have obtained a new EIN number, so I was just wanting to see if it would be possible that way we could have more, opportunities and choices for maintenance supplies here in the county.
Yeah. Francis, I don't see any problem with that. There shouldn't be no problem.
Thank you. It is I think the last one was Celtics. Let's see. I brought.
Name is Lee Hoggett.
Yeah, Hoggett, I'm sorry. It's on Celtics Drive, you're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's Lee and Jessica Hoggett.
Okay, now that you mentioned that, Fran, somebody already purchased something on our docket for the docket we just approved for $112.68.
But it's okay because, I mean,
I'm sorry?
it should be okay because it's not under the leadership anymore.
October 29th
October 20,
was the last day.
October the 20, and when was the last docket?
We just approved.
Yeah,
That's right, so it should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I will great. The only other, I had one other item that I want
Hold up a minute, Fran.
to. Okay.
It means that it's okay for the $112.68. Are y'all saying that it's okay for us now to start making purchases with video supply?
Yes,
Yes.
you don't have to have most of
I
that.
got a question for you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when you deal with these supplies, how are we gonna do that? Because I see some, on this docket, I see some stuff coming from some places that we probably could get from somewhere else in town a little cheap because they just don't supply stuff like we buy from them at this high price. So, how do you gonna go about handling that?
Okay, previously we were doing that big mass purchase for the county where we have to get all the departments together and put all the orders together. So that process has started. And Don and I have started, Mr. Bates have started looking at the list because we compile everybody's request and we're able to get, the best pricing. That list went out to Wheeler Janitorial. It went out to Hicks, J.E. Hicks. It also went out to F.R. Blankenstein. It went out to Mississippi Industries for the Blind. And it also went out to one other company. Needless to say, Blankenstein said, well, Frank, we can only quote you on some of the things. We can't access everything. I said, okay, well, send me a price on what you can. I called back to J.E. Hicks. They did not submit any bid to me, saying they could not obtain any of the items. And Wheeler Janitorial has sent me their pricing, as well as the company in Jackson, Mississippi Industries for the Blind. So now I can go to Big M with a quick conscience and say, hey, I have this big order. Do you want to give me your pricing? Because typically, when they see a list like that, they're supposed to be able to look at that list for all the items, we got all the departments, and then they're able to give us their best pricing on those items and then split up between the departments as far as different POs. So, I'm just trying to help make sure we get the best pricing for the county, but it's sometimes a challenge.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned all that because I'm looking at the docket and we got certain things on the docket coming from people that I know we can get a better price for. So when you do all what you got to do, and whoever got to submit whatever they submit, then I just want to start doing what I got to do with this document. Until then, I'll just let it pass.
Thank you.
You had something else,
I had
Francis?
one other item. Now, if you all are ready for me to discuss it.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, the other item is, on January the 11th, we had a reverse auction for the trucks for the Adams County Road Department. Out of all of the state, because the advertisement went out to the state procurement site, it went to National Democrat, along with being on the county's website, and the only company to submit any pricing to us was Truck Work, and they're located here in Mississippi, in Richland, Mississippi. I sent the pricing for those two types of trucks to Paige, and she has them as far as the pricing for, the records and everything. The 2023 T480 tandem truck with a black body dump truck was going to price at $165,000 with a buyback of $85,000 after 3 years. And then the other truck, which would have been a single axle dump truck, a 2023 T380 single axle dump truck, that price would have been $150,000 per truck with a 3-year buyback of $55,000. So I wanted to let you all know about that because those were trucks we were looking for the road department.
Oh, Francis.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the total amount? How many trucks is it? In all?
I believe the road department was wanting to get 5 trucks. If I'm not mistaken now, because if I'm remembering right, I think they're going to get 3 of one of the trucks and 2 of the other truck. I'm just not sure which one they wanted 3 and which one they wanted 2.
There's 3 tandems.
Right there.
It's 3 tandems and 2 single wheel trucks. And 4 of those trucks will be coming off a buyback that we got now with Burrs. And they're on buyback there. Plus I talked to Woods Auction, and they're gonna come down next week and look at us too and give us another guaranteed price on the trucks that we got that's coming off on the, on the buyback program that we started with those 4 trucks. So those, and it would go, it'll be on up into the year. It won't, it'll start like March or April, and then it'd be like July, I think, some more, and then towards September. So it all ain't gonna be at the same time that they go off those 4, because we purchased those 4 at different times, but that's their dates that they come off of, for the buyback that's going back.
I need to look at that because
I'll get her sent to you.
yeah, I need to look at all of it because I wasn't aware of none of this. And
Well, there's a lot of equipment on buybacks that we started 3 or 4 years ago that they go off, on buyback programs like our motor graders, our loaders, our backhoes, our dump trucks. We started the buyback programs, what, 5 or 6 years ago, something like that.
I understand that part, but I still need to look and see
Yeah.
what's coming off and what's coming on.
You should have,
Because I think it should
they have
have
a list of
proof of it. I need to look at it, yeah. I mean, it's okay for her to put the deeds in.
Yeah.
I still
it ain't like we buy on the mall, yeah.
Right.
Take him out of
Because, I approved for some, I know, at the beginning of the budget year.
Right.
And then, so in my head, I'm thinking that I approved for some, and then they buying these other ones. I need to look at it.
Yeah, let's
Cause
get it wrong.
nobody even discussed it with me.
Okay, you and Rob can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you ought to have a list of everything we got on buybacks. I mean, Joe had it on a spreadsheet on the
Yeah, I got
computer
the
when it
list.
come off, because he would let us know you got something coming off next month, or you got something coming off in 3 months. Joe would always keep us informed on it, but we have a spreadsheet on it too at the office.
Yeah, y'all can get together.
Yeah.
All right, is that it, Ms. Bell?
Yes, sir, that's it. Thank you all for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too. All right, next departmental report.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the Adams County Veteran Service Officer. I have several things and laws that have changed for the veterans here in the state and across our nation. First, I want to say thank you to the William Dunbar chapter for the donation of socks and other items in the month of December. There was a change. It doesn't take effect until August the 1st of 2022. It's called the Colonel John M. McHugh Tuition Fairness for Survivors Act of 2021. And what this is on our survivors, it's DEA 35 of the GI Bill for the deceased spouse's wife, our husband, our children to go to college on. Now, what it says and what it does, if I live in Alabama, and Alabama is my home of record, and I want to come to school here at Alcorn, you have to charge me the in-state tuition rate. So that was changed back during the pandemic, and we're just getting that update on it. And it starts August the 1st, 2022. Also, I know you all are familiar with Vietnam and all the dishonorable discharges we had that was done towards veterans with field grade Article 15 and things. But what the Department of Defense has done now, the Navy has agreed to review and potentially upgrade other than honorable discharges given to the Navy and the Marine Corps veterans dating back March 2012 as part of their agreement. And how this came about was that a soldier who was in the Navy and he had issues there and he didn't get the proper treatment. So they ended up discharging him with an other than honorable discharge. He sued and he won. And now the Navy is part of the agreement. They agreed to go back to 2012 and look at these other than honorable, these bad conduct discharges that they've given to veterans. And it's a good thing. And he was an Iraqi veteran and he won that lawsuit. I'm hoping that the Army would come on also. And I'm hoping that they go further than 2012 because we do have a lot of veterans that there was a disadvantage done to when they returned home. And it stopped them from getting their benefits. The kids used the VA. And what the VA did put into place, I reported on it a couple years ago, that they're only allowed to use 90 days for PTSD. But we know PTSD is not something that comes and goes. It's something that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I'm just hoping they go back further than 2012 because, like I said, there are a lot of veterans that there is a disservice done to. Also, Home with Heroes need volunteers Saturday, I think it's Saturday, January 22nd, with trucks and trailers, rain or shine, to collect the wreaths out of the cemetery. They have to be moved Saturday. Also, if you know any college students that need, high school students, anybody that needs community service hours, they are available. Mark is willing to write a letter stating that they did participate in that. Also, there's a new thing that the VA for a law that was passed during the pandemic, and we're just getting it now. It's the Community Care Urgent Care Assistant card. And what it is, we have a lot of veterans, just because I'm a veteran, I run to the hospital. But that bill is not paid, and that bill is on the veterans if the hospital does not put them on the charity program to wipe the bill out. So what they've done now, we have cards. I ran copies yesterday, and they're on my table. I'm going to give them out to the doctor's office, to the hospital, so they'll have them so that individual that's taking that veteran's information, they present with the ID card. They have to have that ID card. When they present, they can call and verify that that veteran is eligible for urgent care. Because when a veteran goes to the emergency room, and I put this out early on when I started, and I think I just need to reiterate it again, they have 72 hours to notify the VA that they have gone into the emergency room. Now, the VA, nursing room. I talked to them before. They're supposed to know it, but you know, people do leave jobs and they don't pass on all the information. So what I did yesterday, I just made about 200 copies, and half of them are going out to the doctor's office. I started giving them out yesterday, and the rest will be here on the table at the office. That is all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
You say they had a card.
Mr. President,
Hang on one second.
I was just gonna ask, did she say they had a card with veterans can use to go to urgent cares? Is that what she said?
Ms. Johnson, did you say that there's a card veterans use to go to urgent care?
She might.
Yes, but when they come get this paper, there's some steps on there. When they go out to the emergency room, urgent care, anything, they have to call and verify.
Okay, the sheriff is asking. Thank you. All right, Supervisor Green.
I just want to thank Ms. Johnson for her assistance. I had a veteran that passed blind, and I went to her and she assisted me with some products for him, and I just want to thank her for that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
This is my notice for my assistant. He's moving away, and I would like to get you all's permission to advertise for the IT assistant position.
You heard. Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins. Can I get a second?
Wait a minute. Let me withdraw that motion first.
Hang on, she's going to
We
withdraw
need
that.
to accept his resignation first, his thing, before we do that.
Can I get a motion to accept this resignation?
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
No.
Now, you heard the request of the IT director to advertise for his assistant. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Gray. All in favor?
Then we have a discussion.
Uh-huh.
I've asked this question before. Do you actually need an assistant?
Yes, sir. He has definitely been really helpful, especially with COVID going around. If there's any days that I was sick, well, I was sick a few days, but it wasn't with COVID, and he immensely helped out with a lot of things that could have kept people from working.
I guess part of my question is we had a standby situation for where we could call in tech support at one time, and I don't think it was very expensive. Rather than paying a full-time employee, it seems like we save money by, if you are going to be out or there is a problem, we can call tech support. I'm just throwing that idea out there. I want to know what everybody else thinks about it. Because instead of paying, what is the salary?
I think 24,000
plus benefits. So it's 35,000. Do you think we spend $35,000 a year on a tech?
Yes, sir. And in my, from before, recently, when you all try to have a off-site tech support, nobody seemed to like that at all. It didn't work effectively. And when the previous director was out, it caused a lot of issues and a lot of stuff was down. And I feel like having that off-site support may not be as good as having someone on hand. Also, it's not just whenever I'm out that the assistant was helpful. I'm able to essentially be two places at once, because when it comes to computers, everybody's emergency is an emergency. Basically, if their system is not working, they're not able to attend to customers. Customers get frustrated, and we have to deal with that frustration.
Yeah.
And if I can't be two places at once, then work gets backed up, and it takes even longer for me to get to those people. And that was a common complaint before when we tried to do one IT person. Everybody's like, well, it's too slow, it's too slow, it's too slow, we can't get anything done. and it's only gonna build up from there. It's like a snowball effect. So that's why I highly recommend that we do get an IT assistant.
President.
Yes, sir.
He said it well, but I'm gonna add to it. When we decided to hire an assistant way back, it was because of those reasons that he said, we was getting calls from everybody saying that, one person is displaced and another person needs this. There was so many things that was happening that one person could not do. And it was pretty much working that one person down, that one person was coming in all the time for the night to try to fix things that he couldn't fix in the daytime because he was somewhere else trying to fix this. So that was the reason why we hired someone, assistant back then.
Yeah, I just like to ask the questions because it seems a little redundant, but okay.
All right, got a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, yeah, that's it for my departmental report. Thank you.
Ms. Brady Cooks?
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
Good morning. I came in on behalf of Brady. I just came in ask for permission for travel. He's traveling to Starksville, Mississippi, January 27th through the 28th.
You heard the request. Can I get a motion? Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins, Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
Also, testing will continue at the safe room. Days has changed to Tuesday and Thursdays.
That's the testing?
Mm-hmm. That's all right. That's my report.
All right, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
From the juvenile detention, the Department of Public Safety is having a symposium. They do annually, and we go every year. What they do is they hold classes about the latest techniques and different issues that are going on with juveniles. Lays the foundation for my training. I have to train my guys 40 hours every year. So I'm requesting travel to go down there, myself and my assistant.
Where?
Biloxi.
Okay, the dates?
It's the 23rd of March. And I will be submitting all that paperwork.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Hutchins. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And also, I'd like to request that the board walks through my detention center at least once a year. I think to kind of keep you guys abreast of any issues that we're having over there. The grand jury is actually supposed to go through there once a year, but I would like to request that you guys do that as well, at your convenience.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
First thing I have is a spoiled dirt request at 17 Coventry Road. President Middleton has it to sign.
You heard the request, the road manager. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Wilson, second by Supervisor Hutchins. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Is IMS on the phone? Thought they were gonna call in this morning. The reason asking, we received an email from Telepac, wanted to install some fiber cable on Lower Woodville and Carthage Point, and they sent it to the road department and to JKS, and they need to be sending it to IMS, and I was gonna get IMS to notify them, or I'll notify them to get it, to let them know that we have.
What's that sent you?
Say it again?
What did you say? Who sent what?
Telepac Network sent it to the road department and to JKS for the engineers to install fiber cable on Carthage Point Road and Lower Woodville Road. And that needs to be sent to IMS instead of JKS. And I guess I'll send them an email, but I just wanted to make sure, and I'll call Mr. Marlowe that they're aware, you know, that, to let them know that they are the engineering firm to take care of that. The other thing I have, the 4-year road plans in front of y'all. It's time to adopt a 4-year road plan. If everybody votes and put on there what they want.
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Wilson. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
Next thing I have, give Ms. King invoice this morning, for Midway on Robbins Lake. They're finished with their part. We should finish with ours, sometime midweek next week. We're still hauling dirt, and then we have to put a side.
President.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
When somebody's talking at the mic, I can't hear because it looks like somebody typing or doing something in the background, and I can't understand what Robbie is saying.
Speak up, Robbie.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Mr. Gray?
I can hear you, it just was a distraction. Sound like somebody doing some typing or something.
Okay. What I was saying, I had given an invoice to Ms. King this morning for Midway on Robbins Lake. They're finished with their portion of the project. The county's still hauling dirt. We should finish hauling dirt today, tomorrow, weather permitting. And next week we'll get the siphon pipes installed. And then the job, we'll grass it next week, and the job will be complete all the way around. But Midway is complete with their part, so I turned the invoice in to Ms. King this morning. And then Ms. King has stepped out, but I was gonna bring up the buyback program. I know, like I said, it's changed, but when Joe was here that, you know, he had a spreadsheet, we had a spreadsheet, and I guess what we need to do is just coordinate and make sure she's got the same spreadsheet to let her know what equipment, because we do have a good bit of equipment now for our loaders, backhoes, trucks, things like that coming off to try to, you know, keep them on that buyback program to get the best for our money, you know, what we're spending. So that's all I have, unless y'all have something.
I just want to thank the road department and Midway for the job well done on that project. It went very smooth. For those of you who haven't seen it since the completion, should ride out there and take a look at it. It's a very good job, and I'm excited about it. Again, it was a problem that I inherited day one, and the road department, I know, is glad to have it behind them, and I'm glad to have it behind me as well, as I'm sure the residents are too. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Morning, Brent. Just think, Robbie, you had a school dirt application?
No, I already signed it.
Oh, you already signed it? It just goes in minutes.
Yeah, I brought it up.
You approved that on the minutes?
Yes.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Good morning, members of the board.
Morning. Morning.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
We good?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
We delivered a check yesterday in the absence and the rescheduling of the meeting for the October payment of the lease agreement on the warehouse. $169,637.78, which means we're current on our payment schedule. The other good, the initiating the construction of the new South Liquid loading dock has begun. The contractor has came in and established his silk fence and established his perimeter where he will start the preliminary dirt work for the approachway to the New South liquid loading dock at the port. The other good, in 3 months, the port has amassed and handled some 208,696 tons of cargo through the facility, generating some $733,000 in revenue, in gross receipts, less all expenses as required by the port. The FRA, after numerous attempts and after many days of pleading with the historical behavior at the port and what services we have offered, have concluded that the port is a railroad, operating as a railroad, and thereby have to come under the jurisdictions of the codes, the requirements, and prerequisites of the FRA. That being said, the inspector, Leighton Ezel, visited the port back in August and in December. I have a copy of his inspection, which for the most part wasn't really bad, had some 4 items on. And between August and December, we attended 1 item, which prevented him from writing a fine, sending in a report of deficiency, or even closing us down. December he came back, he gave us credit for effort, but then we have a lot of help from somewhere, the general public, Washington, I don't know, but he did say, somebody called and reported us with regards to the debris buildup under the trestle. And thereby the debris was diverting the current of the water and eroding the land that supports the north pylon of the railroad trestle, and FRA said we can't have that. And he says, you gotta do whatever it is you gotta do to move it. We did. $32,449. And it's done. It was done in the nick of time. The river is rising, and so we were in and out. And regarding the $32,449, it is a request of the Port Commission, as it was last year, regarding the $37,000 insurance premium that was paid on behalf of the county, that we combined the $32,000, $37,000, and request the board give us credit toward the $2,087,000 on the books owed to the Board of Supervisors. And I accept the said request be spread across minutes so that we can give it to the CPAs and it may be legal. Council?
I didn't have to see that.
Okay, all right. In addition to the FRA, we are now required to do inspections and record those in a binder so that FRA will have access to them. The roadway signage and the history of this railroad roadway has always been, it always started downtown with the road department and it always gets deferred out to the port. And so we will have to install per code new railroad.
Hello? Hey, you need to mute your phone, please.
I'm not sure.
Hey, Blaze, mute your phone.
I was looking for the person in charge of the safety program there.
Blaze, mute your phone, please.
What company are you? Enterprises?
Yeah, we're not.
I'm with Safety Services. My name is Sean. I'm a safety advisor here.
I got you. We're not interested in anything right now. Thank you for that. Hey, we have
He's not listening, Ricky. Why is it not ringing out?
Blaze.
Big moment.
Go ahead.
the cross bucks and the railroad cross warning signs has to be installed, replaced, and have to come under the approved signage based on FRA. And we have a volume that they have sent us that we could adhere to in replacing those signs. We will get those signs up. We've got the vegetation out of the tracks. We've got the debris removed. So the only two things left to do now is to put up the signage at the crossings and get the track inspected and or maintained, repaired. In addition to the FRA and the railroad. Conversations are cheap, ideas come a million, suggestions are more than that. The question I have for the board this morning is in regards to the application of federal funds that we supplied information along the needs of infrastructure and improvement. Would ask which exactly pool of money did we go after? What projects did we tell Congress we wanted to work on? Because the commission has decided that I need to investigate and chase some additional federal funds. I do not want to duplicate the applications. I do not want to go after the same money that Adams County is campaigning for. So if there's a report or there's some information regarding our attempts in Washington to secure some funding for the port, I would request sharing that fund. We are aware, I am aware, we've made the commission aware that federal dollars require a rather large matching amount. Some starting at 15% up to 25%, even at 50%. We are aware that any projects that we request and apply for funds also require a shovel-ready status. Being able to go to contract about 120 days after the award. And we also are aware that in the preliminary designs, estimates, and planning of a project to apply for funds require money as well, because we've got to pay the engineering firm. And I'm going to investigate. I'm going to do what I always do. And I'm going to spend as less money out of the game as I can. But I don't want to chase the same money that the lobbyists, economic development, and the board of supervisors are chasing.
Yeah.
Because the funds is appropriated in large amounts over a long period of time, and it's in different categories.
President.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you probably need to speak with the lobbyists and Chandler also, because we did, when we was in Jackson, did speak to the congressional people about the port. And there's a bill out there with the transportation bill that's in February. So we did speak to that, and they did say that they will support that bill that had some funding in there for the port.
And this is the U.S. transportation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do speak with the lobbyists or Chandler.
Yeah, so if you're applying for a grant, you can email Manning or lobbyists to make sure we're, number one, we're not overlapping, and number two, if it's a good project, we can add it to our agenda so that the board's also pushing it as well as you are.
Okay.
And the city, I mean, they all, city and county, everyone pushes in the same direction when you do that. But yeah, aren't we doing, is the liquid loading dock, is that what we're pushing right now, and it looks like we're on the agenda?
Just the liquid loading dock?
That we was pushing.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
She can go, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. My question was, I heard you speak out about the $37,000 in the insurance and the $32,000 that you all paid for the removal of the debris. Are you asking us for that funding to be paid by the county?
We're saying give us credit.
Give you credit toward that $2 million that you're saying.
Yeah, they're saying they owed that money back, but in lieu of that,
Right.
There's
Because
$2
if-
million indebtedness from 97, 98
Yeah.
that's still on their books, and
Right.
so that's for an offset.
So
If I had given you,
you're asking to be paid.
Yes, still asking that, yeah, it's giving them credit, so it's still asking the county for the money.
if I had given you 70,000, I would have turned around and asked you for it back or requested that you pay
Yeah,
the insurance and the debris removal. It's
right, yeah.
same money, same county.
Same.
Is that gonna be a reoccurring deal, trying to clear the trestle?
The drift, Supervisor Wilson, I would think as nature has it, St. Catherine Creek is going to the river. The river is constantly rising. I would say we would see some drift accumulation in the future. There is a process whereby you can build what is known as a drift fender to kind of break it up and divert. But we're talking 1950 model Bridge Creek. I don't think the debris removal we just accomplished is going to be the last of railroad trestle maintenance.
How long has it been since it's been cleared?
I don't know that it ever been cleared.
We're not looking at $32,000 to $37,000 every.
I would think now that the port is on record at the federal government level, FRA, we would be able to maintain the drift as the river rises and falls.
So we're not gonna be looking.
We're not gonna be looking.
Okay.
We're not gonna be looking at 32,000 ever again.
You know, if it is something we need to monitor or get bids on to get it cleared, because that just seems like a lot of money.
Right.
And so we need to be aware of it if we're gonna be responsible.
I'm not happy at all, but it is what it is. Yeah, my options were to clean it out or be fined and shut down. Those were my options.
It needed to be taken care of, no doubt about it. I just say in the future,
right. I think
know what we're gonna do next.
I think as a result of clearing it out, when the water recedes, we can go down and we may be able to achieve it with county equipment. But we had about 5 pieces of equipment down there because of the situation and the way it was.
Okay.
And I mean, there was a lot.
I can imagine. Thank you for explaining it.
The other item associated.
Mr. President, before you move on, I got a comment.
Okay.
It's just, in my opinion, when we first started this lobbying deal, we supposed to prioritize what we wanted them to lobby for, and the city supposed to prioritize what they wanted lobbying for, and they were gonna lobby. Now, all of a sudden, it's so much stuff on the table, I'm kind of confused, because when you go lobbying for 10 different things, and 2 of them is for the county, or 3 of them is for the county, and 8 or 9 for the city, and that's kind of confusing to me. I think we need to get back together and prioritize what the county paying these lobbyists to lobby for. The city needs to prioritize what they paying them for, and we need to come together and find either 2 of each or 3 of each and lobby like that. Because the way we going right now, we're gonna lose out. Thank you, Mr. President.
Supervisor Gray. Supervisor Gray?
Yes.
Let me respond to that too also. The reason why that the port came up with the lobbies, because that bill included ports. So while they was there, they asked for the port money to them to continue to support that, because it had the port money in it too. So while they was there, the Morgantown project was the priority on that, what they was lobbying for. But that bill include ports and airports. So they went on and request that they give us some funding for that also.
Supervisor, I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm talking about something totally different. I'm talking about the county needs to prioritize, because the port, the airport, and Morgantown was our priority. And that needs to be lobbied for on behalf of Adams County, because that's what we paying for. Is that not correct?
Yes, and that's what they did when they was there.
Yeah, I'm saying is, they always told me when you go lobbying to the Fed, you need to narrow it down and put your priorities in order. So if we got 3 priorities and the city got 6, and it's all together, then which ones they gonna choose? That's all I'm saying. I just want our priorities to be lobbied for too.
Well, I think that we've done in the past is having a legislative agenda, and we've done it with our lobbyists, and we should do it annually. So it might be a good time to, when we can, have a meeting and say these are our priorities, and the lobbyists should know that these are our priorities. Now, you also got to understand what the reason and I'm not trying to tell you anything you don't already know, Ricky. You got Manning and you got Greg Harper, and so if they say, look, this bill came out here and they could help your report if you got anything, I think that they can also, that we can lobby for that too without it affecting our top priorities, because that's what they know that these are number one for us. We don't want anything below that, but anyway, so I think getting our priorities, resetting to make sure we're on the top list, making sure we're directing it, and then following their advice when it comes to it, and if they mess us up, then we'll get back at them, you know?
All right, Mr. Howard, do you have something else?
We would acknowledge that this current bill in the Biden administration associated with all of this funding was sponsored by the organization that I served as president and chairman of the board, the IRPT, which was very instrumental in suggestion submitting and lobbying members of Congress to pass this bill that we're talking about for funding. In our efforts going forward with the application research process, I need to acknowledge that we're going to go big. We have what I believe a stalemate here in Adams County, and it may be an item for executive session, but or individually, however you want to handle it, but we're going to go big. We're going big, and before we leap, you'll have the opportunity to look at what the campaign is going to be. Okay? All right, who's going to make the motion regarding
We're going to need a motion for that credit.
You heard the request, Mr. Howard. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins. Can I get a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. President, who seconded?
That's what I can say. Who second? Who made the motion? Who second?
You motioned. Did you second? I didn't, but I will.
That's what I was doing. Who made the motion? Who second? Didn't hear a second.
That's all I have.
Maybe I breathed hard.
I thought I heard a rumble. Maybe I didn't.
Have y'all looked at getting somebody that specializes in FRA law to maybe make sure we don't have any pitfalls?
We know of some contractors that can do the inspection. We also had some time ago initiated a preliminary agreement to cover an approved operator, so to speak, to come in and do the switching that we're getting in trouble doing one car here or there. We just did not pursue it because when the ball game started, all the players were not in the stadium. We had a couple of guys came down with business cards that say they were FRA, but they were not official FRA inspectors. And so when we questioned the legitimacy, the counsel for FRA shoved it to the side. No comment, no repercussions, no instructions, no letters, no recommendations, no visitations. And so we just rolled with this FRA issue until now. And now we know how it got started, where it came from, who stirred the pot, and here we are dealing with FRA. And so because of that, we're going to deal with FRA according to FRA procedures. I will tell you that the people that we have used associated with our rail, when they do their inspections, it's more stringent than the FRA. So I'm not worried about being in the right with FRA. I'm more concerned with how we're going to afford to do that which needs to be done, not just because of FRA, but because it needs to be done for safety, operation, management, the whole 9 yards. If you're not using a road, there's no need to put any asphalt on it. That's what my position was with the railroad track. We were not using it, so there's no need to put a lot of money in it. And just because the inspection is done does not predicate the expenditure of a lot of money. As long as we have records and documentation, FRA will be satisfied. We can keep everybody else out of our business and out of our tracks. We'll be okay. Just this morning on the way here, I get a call from somebody using our tracks telling me what I need to do to a switch that I already know. We get a lot of help from a lot of places. And that's why the acknowledgement was made earlier that we're going to be. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's a lot of them. You got it. That's your mouth running all over the place. You got something? Good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see, I've got, in the last meeting, I come and asked for a board order for State Park to revise the last board order that was passed in December 6th for $20,000 in a supplemental agreement for the project. The state aid has come back and asked to redo when we took the money out and did the supplemental agreement, we took the contingency money out of the project, and state aid has asked to put the contingency money back in there. The contingency was $65,000. We used that. Go ahead. Good. And then we needed $20,000 more, which we had asked for in the supplemental agreement there. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting a board order for $85,000 to replace the contingency money in the project and pay for the $20,000 above that. So it's a total of $85,000 for the supplemental agreement on there. And I need state aid's requested that we get a board order for this.
This board previously did a resolution increasing the amount by $20,000. This proposed resolution, I reviewed it with Brant yesterday, replaces that $20,000 and makes it to $85,000. If you approved it, it would be an additional $65,000 from what you have approved already. So this would come out of the state aid funds, is that correct, Ryan?
Yes.
So. So basically, they've used the contingency amount, and state aid is telling the board they need to add more to replenish that contingency amount.
He asked more for the contingency amount, and then he asked for an extra $20,000, right?
We've already approved $20,000. He's asking for an extra $65,000 because we used our contingency funds, and the state aid is saying you have to replenish that contingency fund. So he's asking for an additional $65,000. This resolution says $85,000, but it rescinds the resolution that gave us $20,000. So we've already increased it $20,000 in December. He's asking for an additional $65,000. The reason they're doing that is so state aid is telling them that they have to, or telling us we have to replenish our contingency amount.
And the,
I need a motion to do that for sure. That's a resolution.
yes, when they, a board order.
You heard the request? Can I get a motion?
Now, and this, the contingency money there, the 65,000, that would be used, it would be used for the engineering and the testing there, which would probably be about maybe $5,000 to $10,000 on that. And if nothing comes up in the project, the money would, after the project is closed out, would go back into the remaining funds, would go back into the state aid money.
I don't think it's the pleasure of the board. Why don't we set up a conference call with state aid, with the president and vice president and Robbie? Why don't we set that? Can you set that up, Brent?
Yes. Yes.
So we can move on it. If you can set it up, I don't know if it'll be available, if one will be available this week or not.
We probably need to do it as soon as possible because the contractor could, he's owed some money in for on the project and it's being held right now. And if he could shut down the project on this, but we just need to do it as soon as we can to get this resolved. He has not at this time, so okay. We're still working.
Are you available this afternoon?
We just need somebody probably in place of Supervisor Gaines.
You're busy.
Supervisor Gray, could you meet this afternoon?
Need be, or jump on a call?
To be honest, I'm waiting on a call, man. I got to go to Baton Rouge to pick up somebody from the hospital that they had surgery.
Tell you what, I can, let me get back with Jim and talk to state aid and see when they're available on this, and then I'll get back with y'all today.
Just let Mayor Scott know, please, Brad.
Okay, I will.
Is that all yet?
That's all I have for now.
While he's up there, I mentioned you wasn't in here. Our road department had received an email from Telepac Network on putting some fiber cable in on Longwood Road and Coppers Point, and it came to the road department and to JKS. It should have went to IMS. We received it. They sent it out on the January 13th, 22. So I just, went to Mr. Marlowe, what it said on our email. So I had Meg forward it to IMS, and I just run it for the board and then let you know that.
Yes, usually when Jim gets that, he does it for us, either back to y'all.
Okay, I just want to let you know it wasn't here, but I just want to let you know it.
Okay.
We sent it to IMS. Okay, thank you.
On there. That's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Brad.
All right.
Very good.
All right.
I'm gonna let Chief Dawson come up and explain this before I get into the rest of it.
All right.
Supervisor probably know.
Good morning. The locations that we have down here are not all the locations that we had initially talked about going out throughout the entire county. These are the locations that we have definitive Wi-Fi spots and definitive either business owners or homeowners that have agreed to allow cameras to be put into place. So we can give you hard numbers on these locations. And like Supervisor Hutchins was just asking about LaGrange, and like Kingston, those two locations we know for sure, those will basically have to be a pole camera where we pay for the cellular data and the camera itself, and we're looking at somewhere between $200 and $2,800 per camera for those locations, depending on how good the Wi-Fi service is, if you have to get a booster, the cellular service, if you have to get a booster, so on and so forth. So we can't give you definitive numbers on those locations, but we are still taking those into consideration, and we'll continue to look at it depending on what the board says. These are locations that we can move forward on and that we got the okay to go with. Now, on the pan-tilt zoom cameras, you're obligated for a 2-year purchase, and you have to pay for the 2 years up front. So that's why it says, just take for instance on Riverwood Manor, it's $1,650 per year for those 3 cameras. However, you got to pay for the 2 years up front. So the initial number down at the bottom of $13,100 is for the stationary cameras and the pan-tilt zoom. And then the second year, all you're paying for is the stationary cameras, which would be the $5,400. And that is just for these locations, if that makes sense of how I'm explaining it.
Warranty, and what if they're destroyed?
If they're destroyed, my understanding is paperwork. Ms. Hutchins has it. My understanding is that those cameras will be replaced. What this does not, price does not include, this is just for the cameras. This does not include the installation, because each installation could be a little bit different depending on the complexity of how they're having to run wires, how they're having to mount, and how long it takes them to do it. There is a local person that will do the installation, and it's on that front cover sheet. And then depending on the board's approval, how many locations, what locations they want to move forward with, he'll go and do a site assessment and give actual installation costs at that point in time. But we wanted to bring you forth some numbers and some locations that we can move forward on right now, knowing that there's a couple locations we still got to work on. Kingston, LaGrange, and there was another one down south.
Okay, well, what do we do about vandalism of the cameras?
Well, the thing with vandalism of the cameras is this. If they vandalize these cameras, especially if you go with the pan-tilt zoom or the other one that you got soak up, before they even get a chance to do it, that thing is going to be tracking before they even get a chance. So if they shoot the camera out, they're going to be on the camera. They tried it at the ones that are in place now. It didn't work out well for them.
Yeah, when they shoot it out or break it, and it's just going to happen. But
most of the time, though, what we've seen, because I've been talking to the lady over here at the Holiday Department, they don't really mess with them. After they realize how far away they're on, they usually just don't come in those ears. They just leave them alone.
I was just curious how much, there's going to be a lot of replacement costs, or if there's any kind of insurance, or
we'd have to ask actual. I know some of them have been replaced at holiday apartments at Noah's expense. Some of them haven't. So I don't know if it's weather related that we're replacing them, but if it's somebody vandalizing them, if they will, that's something that
we have cameras in the courthouse that we got to replace, in the detention center and everything else. I mean, you're going to have.
Well, they go bad, I know, but I'm talking about strictly.
And some of those that got replaced in Holiday Apartments contracted too. It wasn't on the installers. They remodeling those apartments. So some of them actually accidentally got broken. They were trying to take the sign down and things of that nature. So, and I'm gonna say this about this too. I know Chief Dawson didn't know I was looking on the other side why they were working diligently on this. But I talked to some people up north who was trying to do a smart city as well with cameras, and they went with another company, and that company is costing them $25,000 a month. So that I just said that so y'all can see this is very reasonable what they're asking price wise versus what people are paying in other areas.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why we have city cameras, cameras over here playing the city?
Because it was a location going into the county. Are you talking about like 61 South Belmont?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a location that a lot of our traffic or something would happen in the county, we'd be able to access it at that point. And there's, from there going out, that's the furthest south location that we could get, where we would get Providence, we would get Highland, we would get 61 South, and then actually, and 61 North coming up. So it's the most southern point where we could get good coverage.
Okay.
Now, if that other gas station would still be open on Colonel Pitcher, we would have went there, but it's not open now.
And Village Square Apartments, Village Square is out.
That's in that county.
That's the county.
Yeah.
That's
Now, the pan-tilt zoom, they do have the infrared on it and the gunshot detection on all the pan-tilt zooms. So it will automatically go to wherever that sound is coming from.
So does this include installation?
No, that's what I was saying. Each installation is different, where a residence he may only be there an hour and do it, but you go to an apartment complex, it may take them a day to put all three of them up. So once the board decides on the locations that we're going to move forward with, the installer will go and then send us a quote of how much it would cost for each location.
Well, I think that's what they want, is to find out a total price of what it would be to do it.
Well, if the board says, yes, go forward with these locations, we can do that, but we didn't know what the board's position was going to be on 25 cameras. Y'all may want to move it down to 20 cameras. So we didn't want to have a lot of good quotes for all these locations. And then at the apartment complex, you may have just said 2 rather than 3.
I think that the board was asked the sheriff to say, what do y'all think you need to help curtail the crime? And I think this is the proposal that you gave us.
It is.
It's the start of for sure. Minus the locations that's not on the paper.
Make sure you get those.
But we want those on there now. Don't get wrong, we want them, we just couldn't get a price on them because
You don't even have a ballpark on the installation? Per camera or something?
I'd be scared to tell you something because it depending on, again, what kind of, how residence you may go, and it may be $75. You go to apartment complex, it may be $1,000.
if the board feels good with what's here, we can go ahead. We're not asking y'all to vote on it, but we're saying if you feel good with the numbers that you're looking at, we can go ahead and get the guy down and let him go ahead and actually price the next step of it, which is the installation.
I personally think it's a good idea to do that, just move it on from there instead of kicking this up next
So
down the road.
with the number of cameras we have allocated for these locations, go ahead and get a quote for what's here on the paper.
Including the ones that are not on paper for Kingston and LaGrange.
So Kingston Schoolhouse is not on there, because it would take a pole camera, and then LaGrange is not on. That's the 2 main ones that are not on here that y'all have asked about. There's just no Wi-Fi out there in those locations.
That's what we need to do for the Wi-Fi in the whole town, whatever.
What about Providence?
And Providence, that was the other one that he was talking about.
Providence.
Oh, that Providence Park on there?
No, we did. We could add it.
Okay, so those 3.
Do y'all have internet at the building down there at Providence? No, so. We can find somebody over there. We know that.
The closest one we had over in Providence was San Gatos. I mean on
Yes.
Yeah, Providence Road.
Providence Road.
But that's not gonna give us visual at the park.
No.
If you want visual at the park, though, we can do it just like we talking about for LaGrange and Kingston, just be finished with it.
Well, that's what
you
I'm talking
have,
about. Yeah.
You know, that way there's no question about it.
Okay, so add those 3 and give us a
So
rundown.
LaGrange, Kingston Schoolhouse,
And
Providence Park.
I think it was a great idea, I'm telling you.
I know it is.
When that shooting happened the other day over there in Holiday Apartment, that was like the first murder since they had those cameras. And that was somebody who committed it, who had been in prison. I guess they didn't realize what kind of technology was over there. So it was captured on video. Over with just do that.
Okay, we'll have this for you for the next board meeting.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I got a question. I'm 100% with installing cameras, but my question is, in the county, with all these locations that I see on this paper, have we covered all the high crime areas with what we have on this paper? Because the main goal when we started this out was to start off in the high crime areas and work our way out. So does this cover all the high crime areas?
1 second, Supervisor Gray. Looking at Supervisor Gray, looking at the list that we have on here right now, it definitely covers, I would say, at least 97% of that. And the reason why I say 97% of that, because when we add the other 3 in there, I'm not gonna say anything's 100, but this here will give us an eye where we need it the most. You know, over the years we track people, and Supervisor, you brought up Village Square. The reason why we want that Village Square, because we know every time somebody shoots somebody in Ken Grave, they got 3 areas of that fence that they always cut and go through. I'm saying this publicly because they can't run the other way. They do what they do, they hide out, they park, and they come through the wood lines and do what they do. And so a lot of thought has went into this, but as of right now, Supervisor Ray, yes, it does cover the majority of it. And the ones you may not see on here is because we actually got cameras already in those areas through other means.
Okay, Sheriff, this is part of my report, so since you and Shane is here, I just want to say this, and I'm going to come down and say what I got to say, because I need people to hear.
I just don't want it to be bummed up no kind of way, but I think it's great what we're doing to get these cameras to make it safe as possible. We can make it for our residents. Cameras is one thing, but Sheriff, I'm gonna say this, and I hope I ain't stepping on nobody's toes. Me personally, I think the Chief of Police, the Sheriff of Adams County, the District Attorney, and the judges or whoever else need to sit down at the table and come up with a plan. Because I'm just like you, we can't continue to have the same people doing the same thing and ain't nothing happen. Police and the sheriff do their job, these people right back on the street doing this exact same thing they was doing once you arrested them. So until the sheriff, the police, the district attorney, and whoever else sit down at the table and have this conversation and try to do what's best for the community, then putting the cameras up is gonna do some good. But at the end of the day, everybody got to be held accountable for doing what they supposed to do.
Supervisor Gray, I agree with you 100% on that. And that's something that we actually talk about a lot at our agency over there is, you know, everybody doesn't work for everybody. I'm not their boss and they're not mine. You know, and the level of enthusiasm you have when you go after dealing with situations like this. You know, we can talk about it, but your drive is your drive. You guys see the sheriff office give 100% every time we go after a criminal. We do. And I'm not saying that's no slight towards the judges, the DAs, and anybody else. But you need to push your people. And y'all know it, y'all see it. Everybody pushes their people a different way. And you're right, we do need to be on the same page, and we are on the same page as far as dealing with crime, but how we deal with it, I guess that may be what a confusion may be. Everybody's level of urgency is not the same. I don't know if that's something you could ever have in place, but I'm open to sitting down with whoever needs to be sat down with and doing what we need to do. Because I know every time something happens, we call out everybody, we do what we need to do. Thank you, Angie, for that overtime.
But here goes the catch.
Overtime, but
you say ain't nobody boss, but the taxpayers is all our boss.
Okay.
So that's who we all work for. So we need to come together and do what's best for the taxpayers. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm agreeing with you. When I say that, I mean I can't go and tell DA.
No, I don't mean for that.
You know what I'm saying?
mean for that.
You need to do this. I can bring issues to them. It's up to them how they deal with it. If they bring it to me, I know how we're gonna handle it. We're gonna jump 2 feet off in it, and we're gonna go 100 miles an hour. But I think what the cameras do for us and for the DA's office and for the judge is it takes away it takes away the excuses. Just like I mentioned that the murder that just happened over there, you know, you don't have witnesses and people coming forward, or when it's cloudy as to what really happened on the case, you get to play on that button, you know what happened on that case. So if somebody goes soft in with whatever it is they're doing, whether it's prosecution, whether it's arrest, or whether it's sentencing, then you know things lie. And so that's why I appreciate the board stepping up and doing this, because you know you got your version of events, they have theirs, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. And when you put up cameras and record things, just like we're recording right now with me, you know, you can't go back on what's said and what happened. All you can do is move forward to whatever decision needs to be made as to regardless of what happened. But that thing goes deep when you look at crimes and you think about what's really considered a crime in whose eyes. Because you got some people, and I'm just going to use this, I'm not advocating either way forward, but some people have a version that you shouldn't use marijuana, and they want people prosecuted to the fullest. Then you got the other people over here on the other side with medical and other reasons, they think it should be lenient. But guess who all involved in that same cycle? Lawyers, judges, law enforcement, and all that. You talk about something that's a main topic that everybody still can't get on the same page with. So, only thing I'm gonna say is all those people you just named there, you know, I can't speak for them, but I can speak for me and saying we're not gonna ever stop doing 100%.
Chief, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be gone. You just brought up another thing. We all know medical marijuana finna be legalized if it's not already legalized. And for us, people targeting people for smoking weed and getting them 30 years and people killing people and get 2 or 3 years and they back out on the street, something wrong with that picture. That's just me saying there's something wrong with that picture. We as a board and a community, they told us up in this conference, we got to make a decision what we want to do with the medical marijuana. Didn't they tell us that? We got to make that decision as a board, whether we want it or we don't want it. What I'm saying is, all these entities that I called out, I don't know who's gonna take the lead. I'll take the lead if I had to. But they need to sit down at the table and get a game plan to deal with everything that's going on in Adams County. That's all I'm saying.
And the only reason I brought up marijuana because that was one item. When you talk about crime, you talk about a broad perspective of items that people feel so different about it. And so I'm gonna tell you who actually called me the other night asking about doing just what you just said was the Deltas. On February the 5th, they want to host some kind of town hall where they do have all of us at the table asking what are the solutions to deal with youth and crime and things of that nature. So I commend them for doing it, you know. But again, you have different lanes that people in. You know what I'm saying, Scott? You got criminal law, you got civil, you have the judicial, you got the legislature. It's so many, when you talk about crime and law, that thing goes on forever. And I'm not saying it's impossible for them to get on the same page by no means. And I'm not gonna say that we are, but it does need to be tweaked. It does need to be tweaked. So maybe this conversation that the elders are trying to spearhead, maybe it'll help that situation. But I just want people to know with us, we don't turn our back on crime. If it happens, I guarantee you, not long after, unless we just can't prove it, you don't see a arrest made behind it. But then that's when the ball gets shifted to a whole other court, though. And I can't make these people, go ahead and present them to the grand jury. I can ask. I can't make, the judge make certain decisions on it. That's in a whole other realm of things. So I hope the conversation is had, and I hope people do.
One thing I'm saying, I don't want nobody try to make nobody do nothing, because that ain't gonna happen. Only thing I'm saying, with what we have going on in the first month of the year, if everybody don't feel a need to sit down at the table and come up with a solution or come up with some ideas to how to curb this thing, then they're in the wrong damn position.
Mr. Gray.
Yes, sir.
When we were talking about these NOLA cameras a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or so, I said something about, well, can we prosecute off these? And the sheriff said, they kind of laughed about it at first, and then they said, oh, we can arrest off of this. As far as the prosecution goes, it's not up to the sheriff. The sheriff is doing his job.
He knows what I'm saying. I'm not saying he ain't doing his job. I think we got the best sheriff in the state. I ain't saying that.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish the point here. The sheriff's department is doing their job, and the National Police Department is doing the best job they can do. And they turn this over to the DA, who got elected on, I'm gonna be soft on crime. Well, it is not working, and it's not going to work. And if we don't use these cameras and prosecute people, they've got 180 felons on the books right now that need to go to the grand jury. We're taking 5 per term. We will never clear those books. Never. And if she does not come forward and start doing a better job, we're going to have a problem. And you're right. Everybody's accountable to the electors. So, the community needs to stand up and come back up.
Because I don't want this to get to the point where we start pointing fingers at other elected officials. The only thing I'm gonna say is what I said, and at the end of the day, this was going on way before she got elected. We had way more crime than this. So we don't need to try to sing nobody out. The only thing I want is all of them to get at the table and have a conversation like everybody care for our people in this community and come up with a solution, or just come to the table and have a discussion. That's all I want.
If we're not gonna punish people for doing the crimes,
well, all that can be at the table.
They're just circling in and out of jail constantly. I bet you half the people over there have been arrested 10 times, and nobody's being punished for anything.
That's why it's time to sit down at the table.
Can't work like that. They just won't work.
We do have people hopefully who we brought in. One was 18, one was 29 times. And he still hasn't been approved. And that's no slight at anybody, but that's just how we do.
Y'all are being a lot more kind than I'm gonna be on that, because I just don't.
Well, Supervisor Wilson, the main thing right now is to get everybody at the table. And then we can have these tough discussions. But if we point fingers and do all that before we get them at the table, then they ain't even be at the table.
Well, I probably won't be at the table then.
Well, Supervisor, I'm open to the table. I am open to making a suggestion to the city and the county. I told you all in the last meeting that we were here, I said, you want to know when all those murders really kicked off back to back in the city and in the county is when they disband the adolescent offender program. I keep saying that because that year when they disbanded that program, 9 of those kids that were in that program having that solid figure constantly in their life and helping deal with them, 9 of them went out and committed murders. 9. If you talk to the schools, they can tell you which kids are on the path to being number 10, 11, and 12. So I'm saying this, I know the government defunded that program,
What government did that?
The government.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's way bigger than what we
So it was
talking
bigger than what you're talking about, but it had ripple effects throughout this community, and you still feel them right now. And you know, you kept,
I know.
You know.
They defunded drug court.
They did.
They still got some, but they defunded it. They gutted that. They completely defunded the adolescent offender program, or the opportunity program, whatever you want to call it.
They did.
Yeah.
And then they reduced sentencing on prisons.
Yep.
So what y'all telling me, we up here lobbying for all these jobs and workforce development, and if we can't get a coattail on what's going on with crime, we ain't gonna have nobody come here, ain't gonna have nobody work.
I'm saying that creating jobs, creating opportunity, and creating education is probably the best way to curtail crime, but also these programs.
But if you're gonna get rid of all those programs and it's gonna have the effect that the sheriff having, who don't wanna come here?
These programs help divert crime, but creating opportunity like this board does also has a tremendous effect.
What I was gonna suggest on that is they defunded the DAF program too. They used to pay for officers and keep kids about drugs. All that's defunded. So what I was gonna suggest is, if the city and the county can get together, I know everybody paying lobbyists and all that, but the reality is those people in those adolescent offender programs were making less than $30,000 a year. There was only 2 of them over there.
And I'm sorry, I forgot they defunded the training school. So you had
all that's gone.
So now you do have training school, but they're not in but what, 3 or 4 weeks, then they come back. You don't have the diversion program. You don't have the drug diversion program. And then when you cut everything else, and then you have prison, and you cut prison, so they come back out.
What I was gonna suggest though is just like the DARE, like the Louisiana sheriff, they picked that up on their own because they deal with their own money. They can make their own money over there. What I was gonna suggest on this though is, even though the government shut it down, I would suggest the city and the county pick it back up. Because I'm telling you, that was the only solid figure them kids had. And when you took it away, it's been murderous ever since. So I'm saying, as a board, if you want to do something, think about creating your own adolescent offender program here. You still got the people here who working, but they out of a job. Matter of fact, they doing tourism right now. They riding around driving buses when they were stopping. And I ain't saying it's gonna be the only answer, but it was a major part. We needed to get our hands on somebody beforehand. We could call those counselors, and they would have them kids meet us. When they were ready to do something, they would talk to these kids and stop them. But when they got snatched away, it was like 9 murders right out the gate. So I'm just saying, if y'all want to collaborate on something, collaborate with the city on thinking about bringing its own adolescent offender program back in front of them on the school. That would be the first step.
Adolescent offender program.
Adolescent opportunity.
Yeah, opportunity is what it is. That's was there when I started back in 1988. Okay, back in 1988, that was there. I think it got defunded maybe 5-6 years ago.
It did.
Yeah, but that was the best program that you could have. They had the kids in class. I used to go there all the time to watch these kids, and they were so active in that class, and it did keep them off the street. So my thing is, if there's something we can do, I would be more than glad to do it, because it was kept those kids, it kept them away from crime, it kept them active, it kept them doing something.
And it kept us coming in the door to see the kids.
That's
they
right.
had each one of us coming in, speaking to the kids.
That's right.
And putting a little time in and letting them know that you don't have to go that way, even though you're living in this area. You don't have to be like that.
That's right.
I'm telling you, you want to do something.
And that's what those kids are looking for, someone that cares.
Yep.
And that should care.
Good?
I'm good.
All right. All right. I'm going to finish what I got to say. I appreciate y'all conversation on that this morning. Appreciate it, because it's just not one part of the pie, it's the whole pie you got to look at. We only one piece of it, but we're going to keep doing our part.
So we're good with the cameras, and you'll come back with some clothes.
He's already on the phone with that guy right now. Okay. Set him up where he can come on down and look at all the installation.
And
yesterday, we had
Supervisor Gaines to make sure he can contact if there's another section or whatever that he needs to.
I think he's gone over this.
I think he'll be fine.
He's already gone over.
Yeah.
The other thing, we had that accidental death on the calendar the other day, and I know I said it in the paper, but I want to take time to say it here. Brian Bird, who's Brian Bird's Lawn and Tree Service. You hate to keep calling on people, but this is the second time this man has come out here. The last time a tree fell in somebody's house somewhere, and during the ice storm, you guys were already everywhere doing what you all did. He brought his own equipment out, kind of like you do with trash. You can pick up trash all the time. People see that. He came out during the ice storm and got a tree out of somebody's house. But yesterday, we didn't have the equipment we needed to do this, and whatever was happening with fire and rescue and all that, I have no clue. That's another conversation you have to have with those guys. But in order to make the scene safe, we had to call in somebody. We called our record companies. All their crane operators were gone. We called other tree services who were very rude and nasty. Very rude and nasty when we just simply asked for help. But when we called Brian, he stepped up to the plate, dropped what he was doing, and he went and got his truck and came out there immediately and helped us. So I just want people to know what kind of guy he is and what he's done and how much he's helped us. And I hope people go patronize. He did and didn't charge us a dime for coming out there. And that wasn't his job or his responsibility to take on that liability, but he did. And we're grateful for it, but we probably still be out there trying to get that man down and bring some peace to the family. So I just want you all to know that.
Now, Sheriff, I heard you mention Brian Bird. Yeah. I think as a board, we need to get Mr. Bird in here and recognize him for all the stuff that he's doing. I know there's other people out there doing stuff too, but we need to recognize them too. But at this time, I think we need to get Mr. Bird in here and recognize Mr. Bird for the outstanding job that he's done.
That's exactly what I was going to ask y'all to do. Y'all want to recognize him. Because he didn't have to do that. He had to put himself in the position he did. So y'all think on that. So appreciate this, Supervisor Gray. I got a couple new hires here. Got a couple new hires on the board. One of them is Paul Rhodes. Paul, the reason why we're trying to start him out at 1701 is because Paul got almost 25 years in law enforcement, and that ain't including the military career. And when you're competing and trying to compete with people, it's just hard to compete if you don't have a lateral. So the way we try to bring in people with over 5 years of experience is at 1701. So I'm asking the board to approve this sample. It's $35,380.08 a year. Paul Rhodes, yes. That's a yes.
So moved.
You need to amend your budget as well, or is that going to?
No, because we had 2 sergeants that's gone now. So this is not a sergeant pay, this is corporal pay.
Got a motion.
Got
a motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And Scott, this is minus the 5-year deal, so this is just fact for corporate. The other one is Edwin Lancaster. He's going to start in the jail at $12.60 an hour, which is $26,208.
So moved.
Well, you want to do both of those?
Yeah, and the other one is Eric Tyler, and he's in the jail too as well. $12.60 an hour, $26,208.
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Gray. Any discussion? All in favor? Supervisor Wilson. All in favor? All opposed? Oxygen cut off my brain.
I appreciate the board and Administrative King for doing what they did with Enterprise and making sure we're on the right track with them. But I'm coming to the board to let y'all know it's time to actually go ahead and get on the wait list for other vehicles, because certain vehicles they're not doing this year at all. And we need to at least get in line for that, because we're so late on the last set. So I need the board to think and give us the okay to get in line, because it's like almost a 2-year wait they're saying. So I'm not asking for a vote, I'm asking for some guidance on that.
got to get quotes and everything, whatever.
Yeah. Like Tahoes, they not making those for the next 2 years, so we're trying to get some Explorers again. Trying to get some Explorers or some trucks. But I just want to make sure we can get quotes so we can get in line. Because
have they fixed the issue with the Explorers?
Yeah, the ones we got now, they fixed the issue with the Explorers. Yeah, they changed the body style, changed the frame, they widened them out, lowered them. They did a lot of work with them. Yeah. So the new Explorers are like the old Tahoes. They wide bodies now. But I'm gonna tell you all, just looking at it and seeing the different vehicles that we've had at the sheriff's office, the ones that hold up the most are Tahoes. I kid you not, them things, some of them over there, we got 180, 200,000 miles on them. Some of them, are ready to go offline now, but we can roll through the ground. But those are the ones, they're more expensive, but they definitely last long out of all of them. So just putting that out there. The other thing is, just want to keep y'all updated on the jail. I think Johnny went over there and defrosted the refrigerator, the freezer, and got it back going. So we'll see how that lasts for now. I think he called in through, so I'm not sure. I hadn't talked to him, but I was told that he was able to defrost and get it back working with somebody else. The other thing I want you all to do is, y'all get ready to walk around outside the jail, because I heard that it was a contractor coming to fix the bricks. Am I right or wrong on that?
I think you're right, we did that.
Them bricks they are spreading fast. And you really need to take a look at them. If you get a chance to walk past the front of the jail, look at the front too. Because they already put one line there for wherever this permanent water coming from. But it's coming out the other side and come down the ramp now too, as well as it's coming through the ceiling again. You really need to look at that. So just take a look at that.
Birds be chipping at those bricks a lot too. Birds be
I'm talking about water now. It's like permanent water, so we put a French drain in up there because I don't know where it's coming from.
Roof.
It's coming from somewhere. So I just want y'all to lay eyes on it. But if you just look at the windows and all that stuff.
And the brick. I mean, one of the bricks almost fell off and hit one of the waters.
Well, I was sitting in my office and I seen the bricks fall. And I was out there throwing.
It just missed it.
It did. It just missed it.
Everyone's disappointed.
It just missed one of this.
Well, I still think we need to get the water work or whoever over there to find out what's going on with their water, because there's no way in America that their water bill is supposed to be that high in a month's time.
How much is it?
It's almost $3,000.
$3,000.
$2,800.
Something wrong.
I talked to Johnny and he said, and basically he didn't have to say it. A lot of the water bills coming from inmates, stopping up those things and let their water just running. And I had talked with him about it to discuss, and I don't know how far he's gone. Maybe get some kind of shut off valve, because when the inmates stop up a water or come over or whatever and they keep running all night long, the water's running, just running.
I work at the water work. You can have a commode run for a whole month, you ain't finna get no $3,000.
But they do it quite often. It's not like it's a here and there now and then thing. It's
every month though.
I know it. It's every month and every day that they stopping at those commodes.
He said that, but I'm having this disagreement with it. I wish he'd come have that conversation with me, but I could find him to have that conversation with me. Because when they do flood the toilet, it comes down immediately. That's how it lost the and everything. So to say that it's just running all night, I'm gonna tell you, since I've changed jail administrators in the top half, it is completely different how things are done in jail now. And when I say all of them go up top, if I can't find Cersei or Clemens, you know why? It's because they are actually in cells, walking in, looking. And so that's why I say,
And so we need to wait till another bill comes to determine if that's the problem. You can't, you said things has changed and it appears to have changed to me.
It's really a simple test. I mean, you make sure everything in the jail's off, and if the water meter's still turning, you gotta leave.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. I want it to be tested. I wish we could go ahead and get jumped in.
You can just
get on
watch the
that.
meter. You can just look at it. You can
You
see
can
it.
and tell when it's running.
You can put everything on.
Well, I asked them and I called water work in, because I'm not in disagreement with
Well, I
testing.
can get down the phone.
Please.
Or you, or
No,
whatever.
let him do it, because
I mean, I'm
do
just saying you can give him the call.
Okay. Well, I call him as soon as I walk out here and ask him to just go ahead and get it tested, because that is a lot. The other thing I want to just remind you all, if y'all know anybody need children's or adult diapers or things like that, that they do the diaper bank now every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 2 at the safe room. We help them, but that's actually Jackie Pose is the non-profit that's doing it. But every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 2, they give away diapers, whether it's children or adults. So the last thing I have is, let's see here. Scott, I know we got some cars that are down there that can't go on the road and can't do anything. We can't use them for trash vehicles. But I still have these other agencies asking, can they give them some kind of way? I know you told them we can donate or whatever.
You can sell them.
Sell them for $1 or something or whatever. What do I
It's
need
gotta
to
be
do?
actual consideration, but it doesn't have to be fair market consideration. So probably between $1 and, you can give them a cheap price if that makes sense.
All right. I mean, we can't use them no more. They begging for them because they don't even have units at all that they even piece together. Most of them drive their own personal cars, control, and these agencies that call. And so that's why I was asking, what do you board do? Do we want to help somebody just let them sell it to them or?
Either auction them or sell them, so you.
We can't use. We can get all we can do.
I think we need to try to sell them for the most money we can get for them for the county, for the general fund. Because I traded a truck in the other day, it was 2010 model, and I got 22,000 miles, $22,000 for it. It had 220,000 miles on it.
I thought you were gonna be with me about that.
I was, but you wouldn't answer your phone call.
I want to say something about the vehicles too, because we keep purchasing vehicles. And not just the sheriff department, but we're purchasing vehicles and we're not getting rid of the ones that they say they're not functional. The reason why you ask for a vehicle. So in the past, we budgeted revenue to sell those vehicles that we are not selling, that we still have on inventory. And as long as they're on inventory, whether they're broke down parts somewhere, we're paying insurance for it.
That's right.
So we need the revenue, and we need to get rid of that expense of vehicles that we are paying insurance for.
I agree 1,000% on that, because that's just, I do that in my company. If I'm not using it, I'm gonna sell it, I'm getting it off the books, because I don't wanna pay the insurance, don't wanna tag it.
Right, and I asked them, what you plan on doing with the vehicle that you swap for? Are we gonna keep it? Another vehicle.
It's not there to see.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but we did it with the coroner. Van was totally useless and worthless. We bought a new van and they want to keep the other one because the sheriff wanted it. But they just kept us, and now they got two vehicles. And I know they are, but it just those kind of things. They keep going on. It snowballs.
And we got $30,000 for the increase that's insurance. I mean, some of it is there. We got more vehicles that we got covered that we don't need covered.
Sheriff, can you get us a list of the vehicles we can sell, or
we
sell ours, get off the books?
We sell ours. We do sell ours, and the ones like even prior to sale, if they take it off the road, what we do is we call an insurance company ourselves, and we ask them to take the coverage down on it until we get rid of it. Just like we're doing a helicopter right now, we're gonna ask them, since we don't have a pilot, why do we have to pay this much money to insure it until we get rid of it? You know what I mean? We want to change the coverage on it because nobody's flying. So, but with our vehicle, we do sell them. I just asked because I have all these people calling and asking, and I just tell them they go on good bids buy if they want. But that's what we sell it on good bids. And we about to, and I asked it because we about to do that again.
We have to be soon, because I didn't see, I'm just gonna be honest. I haven't seen any revenue from any vehicles.
Yeah, how does that deal work with y'all? Do they come in?
Well, no, they told that to the camera, because we got.
No, I'm saying,
It's
on
probably
the
a lot.
value of the vehicle, is there a possibility we could get more money elsewhere
What?
on those vehicles?
The good deals? Not good, that's option, that's nationwide.
Yeah,
You know, and the reason why we started selling the good deals related to the scrap yard, because the scrap yard was only selling, wanting to pay $200 or $300 a car. Now on good deals, we was getting like $1,200. Now the reason why he had seen it last year though was because remember we didn't get any vehicles for a long time, and we just had to keep the things together to make it through the year. And so
now, something this year, right?
yeah, I mean, but in the past though, I emailed copies of checks showing y'all what stuff was there, but we couldn't do that last year because we ain't had the ride.
Yeah.
So you have some now ready to sell?
Yes, now we just got all the other cars that Enterprise has brought in. We do have some that we are ready to sell. And see, we can't just touch that money. You know, we had to come in here and ask for a budget from me if we wanted, but I had to get that because in the past, we let it go towards new vehicles. But this last year, we just got vehicles.
You don't get that money.
Yeah, we don't get that money. I ain't back for it.
I guess they sold them because they only asked for the money.
You're just not speaking of just the sheriff department. I'm not speaking just of the sheriff department. I mean,
I know what you're saying.
County, keeping those vehicles.
Yeah, we need to look at our vehicles and see what's.
Now, what we do is, we do try to keep at least 3 or 4 spares though, because like when they hit a deer or a terrible car, they have to go in something, so we can't just have that amount. You know what I mean? We gotta have something that somebody can be in. But we got probably about 7 that we about to sell. That's about to come off, and we got them all. That's the ones that Chairman Russell was talking about. He seen line up. Well, he was seeing them line up because we're getting ready to strip all the stuff off of them, take all the emblems off, and put them up sale. That's why. So, but you're right. Last year we didn't get rid of it because
I'm not just speaking to the sheriff department though. I mean all of the departments.
Okay.
They need to go.
All right. And I think that's all I have. I'm gonna say this before I sit down. I'm just gonna say this. I appreciate the board supporting us the way y'all do, because you know you can be a good leader all you want, but if you don't have the finances and things and the tools and the training that you need to do your job effectively, you won't be effective. And that's one thing I can say about you all. We might have some spirited conversations about some things, but I just appreciate what y'all do for the sheriff office, because if y'all allow us to do our job, it makes y'all job a lot easier when y'all call us about complaints and dealing with situations and things. So I don't ever want to lose that relationship for communication. So I just want to tell y'all I appreciate y'all and I thank y'all. That's it.
Thank you for always calling back.
I will call you back. I'll call you back.
I'm not laughing.
All right, does anybody else on the line have any departmental reports? If not, public comments?
I have a supervisor. This is George.
Hey.
Hey, I only have 2 items I just want to go ahead and get approval for. First item is being the strike on project is sent to state aid, and this should be getting approval to advertise shortly. So I would like to get a board approval to advertise contingent on state aid's approval of the final plan.
You heard the request of county engineer. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Grace, second by Supervisor Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, second item is on yesterday. I still came down yesterday to do the bid opening for 26 Clear Union Heights, site number 2. I did fill out the bid results because it's been hoping that she got it out to everybody. I can go over those bid results right now, y'all like. For the 26 Clear Union Heights, the construction estimate for the project was $96,472. We had 2 contractors to bid on the project. One was G. Ray Warren Contracting. Their bid came in at $102,900. And we also had Camel Construction Company Incorporated. They came in with a bid of $85,868.48. We have gone back and verified the bid and their numbers, and everything came back correctly. So if it's the board's desire, we could go ahead and award this project to Camel Construction Incorporated based on the new award bid.
Okay, let me ask you just, Mr. Ford. We got a bid at 102 and then one at 85. And are they, see, that's where all these change orders come in. You got one bid that's up there for 102, and then you got one for 185. Is that gonna complete that project at $85,000, or will it be coming back for change orders?
The difference in the bid was just the clearing and grubbing lump sum. So that was just the biggest difference in those two bids.
Did you ever write down the bids?
Or something.
I can't write down the bid.
Yeah, can you email the two bid sheets? We can see all the unit prices.
Yeah.
And the estimate was 92,000, is that right? 96,000.
The estimate was 96,000,
Mr. President, I got a question. Mr. Ford.
Yes, sir.
If we was to go on here today and reward this bid, when will this company start and when is the completion date?
So, once you got approved, you have to put the contract information sent over to the contractors. Usually that takes about 30 days, and we were anticipating the project being completed by the end of April as we go ahead and do the award for that. They have 60 days in the contract to do the project. You don't anticipate it taking that much, and especially as well as community, it should be done before 60 days.
Thank you.
So he has some motion.
Need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Wilson, second by Supervisor Gray. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passed unanimously.
I appreciate it. I'm going to send over the actual breakdown of the bids to you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
President, Mills, I forgot to ask you all one thing I was told to ask you all. I have several people.
Too late.
Oh.
Okay, time's up.
Time's up.
Not recognized.
Just give me 30 seconds, man. I was told by people who want to do subdivision and housing projects here that might get, let me see this thing. I think it's the American Rescue Plan, where they gave like 26 million to certain places and all that. Did I kind of get in this American Rescue Plan money to build subdivision and housing? They're actually because they want to build some here, and they were told that I guess it would be funded through the county because the county got the money. Well, just for the infrastructure part of it, like the curbs and the gutters. And
That ain't into that.
No.
I hadn't heard anything about that at all. Okay, all right. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Don't send that to me.
I'll send it to you so you can look at it.
Send it to me. Send it to me.
Okay, I'll send it to y'all so y'all can look at it. They said it was allocated, some was allocated, I forgot.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
I mean, if it's out there, well, I wouldn't mind getting some of it.
No, good. Vicksburg got it. So I'm gonna send it to all y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have any public comments? All right, we'll come to the table. Supervisor Gray?
Yes, sir. I just want to set the record straight and make it clear when I was saying bring everybody to the table and discuss crime and what's best the citizens of this community. It don't make no difference if we don't get along. It don't make no difference if who don't like who. At the end of the day, as elected officials and people in charge, it's our responsibility to do what's best for the citizens of Adams County. You ain't got to like each other, but just do what's best for the citizens of Adams County. That's all I'm asking. Another thing, I know it's touchy, but this COVID problem we having, and 3 weeks ago I read something say the Center of Control and Prevention states Adams County has had 309 record COVID-19 cases in the past week. with a positive test rate of 40%. Those totals would not include the number of testing positive with at-home testing kits. People, we have a problem in our community. And I can't control what the entire community, I can't control it. But what we can control is people coming in and out of our buildings wearing no mask. Now, I don't know if y'all got the record of how many of our employees that had COVID, but it's too many. And I'm gonna recommend that we require masks to come in our buildings. That's a motion.
Got a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
A second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Hutchins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Got to do it for the time. Do a roll call.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Supervisor Gray?
Aye.
Supervisor Hutchins?
Aye. And my reason for saying aye is because this new virus is spreading rapidly. It's almost spreading faster than the first one. And we just gotta learn to protect each other. I know a whole family got it during the holidays because no protection. And we do have a lot of employees. I've checked Supervisor Gray on the employees, you know, all the employees that done had it. And it's been in it. And I got a call from one of the elected officials over the holidays asking me to go back with the mask for their office. And I told him we didn't, really have to do it, but, I would go with it. I said, because you could recommend it yourself, that everybody in your office wear masks. And he said, if you all don't put it to a vote, then I can't make them wear it. So.
Supervisor Hutchins, I'm gonna say this, and we have quite a few individuals that work for this county that have underlying health conditions.
And I was in that office with a lot of them.
I'm not requesting that we try to do a county-wide mask mandate. That is not what I'm asking.
No, I'm not saying a mandate. I'm talking here.
I'm just saying, the only thing I'm asking is to do what we can to try to protect our employees. That's all I'm asking. I mean, if you come in and pay your tab, you can wear your mask. Then as long as you leave out, you can take your mask back off. But we just trying, I'm just trying to protect our employees, especially the ones that have underlying health conditions.
Yeah. And that's what I was called about, just for the office to please make them, wear masks. The vote to make them wear masks.
Roll call. Yeah, Supervisor Wilson.
I'm just gonna let them know, I don't think the masks are effective. And we put up shields at almost every place the county employees are. So we've done all we can do. This thing is spreading like wildfire, and doctors don't seem to have any idea how to make it not spread. It's gonna hit everybody pretty much, and like the common cold, and it's just not, masks aren't gonna help, I don't think.
Only question I have about the motion, Supervisor Gray, is how long is this effect?
At least till the next board meeting, till we can get our emergency management guy in here to give us some data on what's going on with the county.
I'll vote aye to extend it to the next board meeting.
Thank you. Next on here, I got a call from our attorney about it.
Mr. Gray, this is all county buildings?
All county buildings.
All county buildings.
Yes.
I voted aye.
The next thing on my list is I got a call from the attorney, and we got the census numbers back, and he was talking about redistricting, and was talking about what firm was that?
Golden Triangle.
It's not a firm, it's a planning and development.
Okay, this is what I think should happen. Whoever wanna, try to get our business, need to come before this board, well, we can ask a question. Well, I don't know about nobody else, but I need to ask questions before I have somebody.
Yeah.
And that's all I request, to be able to ask people some questions before we put them on the payroll. Because I want to find out afterwards, well, you should have asked me before, I would have told you, I don't do that. So I want the opportunity to question whoever we hire before we hire.
So, and I was gonna bring up in my report, the only reason I brought that up, I asked Wilkinson County and, about their numbers and whatever, and they said they use the planning and development district up in the Golden Triangle. That's what's called the Golden Triangle Planning and Development District. And he said they looked at their numbers and they wouldn't charge you to look at your numbers to do it. They only had to switch 2 districts around, and it was a fairly inexpensive ordeal for them, and they got done within a couple of months. There's other options, of course, like a couple of firms have reached out to us. Those will probably be expensive, but we can. What I need is just a guidance as to what we need to do. And I'm confess my own ignorance as to the redistricting, which is why I called Supervisor Gray and had the knowledge about what all's the right thing to do. So and it's not something I think. I'm not saying we need to hire somebody today, but we need to hire somebody probably by our next board meeting. Say, hey, or at least have hardcore proposals so we can make a decision, because we don't need to delay on.
Well, they need to be here next board meeting.
If you look at your redistricting information, and I again do not, this is one I profess to be, but I'm confessing my own ignorance, but the general law is if you take the fewest population district and the highest population district, and is there a 10% difference between those two? And there is, then that might be reason to try to have a redistrict. So it's something we probably should need to get another set of eyes at to do. That's
yeah, the only thing I'm saying, Scott, I done did this twice, and redistricting can get real political.
Yes, sir.
So I don't want nobody, I don't want to hire nobody that's not fair. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The only thing I want to do is make sure that they're going to be fair, redistrict fair, take the politics out, and do your job. That's all I ask.
Okay. Also in redistricting, when they look at it and everything, supervisors also need to look at it too. I mean, to say, along with another supervisor, because you kind of taking from one area, putting it in somebody else's area, whatever. That supervisor need to. I watch the redistrict along with others, and that's what supervisors did here. They got together and said, if I accept this one, I'll take that one out of there. So that needs to be done.
And
this down the road.
And that's what, that's what they talked about at Wilkinson County. The supervisors, 2 that were going to change, got together along with this person and made sure they were comfortable with it.
Right.
Because y'all set the lines, and you don't want to,
No, we don't want to have to be uncomfortable with what lines.
You make sure they're fair, right?
Right.
You don't, the upsetting when someone gets moved from district to district. You want to make sure it's as fair as possible. What I could, y'all tell me, I'm not trying, because, I'm not trying to move it or whatever. I'd love for the lines, everything to stay the same, because y'all, worked for you last time. So anyway, but I could put out on the listserv saying who's used, and I could, whoever those people are, could reach out, and if they want to bid or whatever you want to say, if they want to do our business, we could invite them to the next meeting. Is that something that, and we can make a decision on like that?
Yeah, we 2 or 3, that's a good enough. We don't need 10 of them.
Okay. Why don't I do that? I'll reach out, I'll get some names, and then hopefully we can.
Some guy came before us one time and said that he deal with redistricting.
That was Horn? You talking Horn?
It was some other guy. Some white guy came before us.
The 2 that I saw, one of them was from Butler Snow and one of them was from Watkins Eagle. Those are the 2 that I remember. Maybe there was a third one. My memory's not great.
I think it was Watkins Eagle.
Well, just invite them and we'll and Golden, whoever.
Golden Triangle.
Okay.
Next, Or where are we with the time clock?
I said, did you get my email?
I'm gonna be honest, since I made it back from Jackson, and I need to go get tested. I ain't looked at nothing.
I sent this email out to all the supervisors telling me they had a choice between the time clocks. If you want to do a PIN, this clock in, or if you want to do the finger punching. So I guess, recommended the finger punching because if you use a pen, anybody can come in and sign in and put your pen on in, but everybody can do the finger punching. That's where we are, right? Right.
Another discussion is we talked to, I talked to Angie about it because she was in, the last meeting, she was talking about the, how we going to do with, when the time go in on one day and then you're gonna shorten them on another day, their paycheck. So I told her to talk to Delta and if we have to change the date of their check from Thursday to Friday, then that's what we'll do. In order for the time clocks to fall right, and so that them getting paid on a Friday, they get paid on that Thursday, they get paid on that Friday.
Yeah.
And which is just one day.
Next I have, it's time of the year for, is Brandon on the line?
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, sir. Yes.
It's getting that time of the year again for us to start putting those letters out for scholarships to Natchez High, Cathedral, and ACCS. So could you change the date on that letter and send it to all elected officials to donate $100 toward the scholarship of a student at Natchez High, Cathedral, and ACCS? And give them a timeline and get it in, please.
Yes, sir. I think last couple of years we told them by like March the 1st, because then we start taking in applications in April.
Okay, thank you. I know everybody know they got a COVID website out where you can order you some free tests. So, Sheriff, you do know that, right?
Yeah, I ordered mine yesterday.
Okay, you know that? Everybody know that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want the public to know, maybe the Democrat need to print that you got a website out there where everybody can order these 4 free tests. This is the first time that I can recall since I've been elected that I missed the Mlk Parade. And, I couldn't go to the parade because of certain things. And I always participated, and I didn't even go down by my shop. But just to say this, that's a special day for everybody. And Martin Luther King was the kind of person that fought for equal justice for everyone. He fought for everybody to be able to go vote. He fought for all this. But it's amazing, in 2022, we still fighting for the same thing. Something wrong with that. We can't control what's going on in other places, but we can control how we do business in Adams County. My sympathy goes out to the Jackson family, to the Williams family, to the Swayze family, to the Bailey family, and to the Billups family. Mr. Billups was my mom's principal for a long, long time down there in Jefferson County. And I need to get out of here to go to his thing at West Funeral Home. And I want to be excused after I get his report. And to the Harrington family for the young man that lost his life in an accident that go to Cathedral. I just don't know what to say about that, but my sympathy goes out not only to his family, but to the Cathedral family also. And as we all know, Supervisor Gaines lost his mom, and my sympathy goes out to Supervisor Gaines and the Gaines family.
I don't know how you feel. Some of y'all in here might do, but I don't know how you feel because I haven't lost my mom, but I don't even want to imagine how you feel. It's that's one, you know, even though me and Kevin and Scott and Wes and all the, and the sheriff and Robbie and all the men in here, we good fathers. But man, ain't nothing like a mom. I'm telling you, I don't care how good a father is, ain't nothing like a mom.
Ricky, Mr. Billups, is he the same one taught at CDP West?
Yes,
He was my teacher at CDP West when I was in third grade, fourth grade.
We got 11 o'clock service. I'm gonna try to make the end of it.
At Poland Family?
At West Family.
West Family.
Yeah, they doing their thing in West, and then they gonna take him to Memphis or somewhere. That's where his kids at. His wife might be moving. I don't know. So y'all need to excuse me.
See you later, Rick.
Okay, the only thing I have is Scott. I turned in some Menace properties. Did you get all those? You get the letters out to them?
I will get them out and have them noticed.
Okay. You have like 2 weeks to get it cleaned up?
Yes, ma'am, I'll get them.
Okay, but it's about 4 of them?
Yes, ma'am.
4 Menace properties, okay. That's all I need you to take care of, is get those letters out to those people so we can get that cleaned up, because we're gonna try to have a neighborhood watch, meeting, and they're gonna question me on it. Okay. All right, that's all I have. I'm gonna try to get to this,
Well, before, I got 3 things here we need to vote on.
We don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
I can't leave. I have to have a form. Yeah. I can't leave. Go ahead.
All right.
I really didn't have anything, but everybody please be safe. I know everybody, they think they got a head cold or sinus infection and they really got COVID. My wife was one of them. We figured out pretty quick she had COVID. But anyways, she's well now. It's a couple of days of madness that as Wes knows. So that concludes my report. Everybody try to be safe.
First one.
There's a regular districting, that's about it.
Okay.
Brandy?
Yes, I just had a couple of items. As the board is aware, our current auditor that we had a 2-year contract with has requested or asked that the board allow him to opt out of the 2nd year of the contract because he is going to be pursuing other employment, which will not allow him to do the audit. I talked to Scott and Angie. We are all 3 okay with this. I've also talked to state audit. There is no problem with the board relinquishing that 2nd year part of the contract with Mr. Henley. I've actually already reached out to the auditor too, just to make sure that we would have someone who would be interested in opting in to cover the next contract for us, and we do have someone interested in that. I just wanted to get authority from the board to send a letter to the state auditor, basically setting forth what I just said. Mr. Hanley has asked to opt out of the contract. The board is fine with that, and that we understand, based on what I talked to the state audit about, we are actually going to have to do a 3-year contract with the next company because we have to fulfill the remainder of this one, and then we have to go through a whole 2 years with the department as well. They just want to get authority to send that letter and to start pursuing negotiating another contract with another firm.
What's the new one's name?
Bridgers.
Motion. Heard the request, Chancellor Clerk.
So
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. Any discussion?
Is this, is the amount any different?
Yes, Mr. Bridgers has proposed for the first year $29,000. We were paying, I think, $24,000, $25,000, and then the 2 years after that it would be $31,000, which, based on what I'm comparing from other chancery clerks, that's still very reasonable. And I've also been told for other chancery clerks who use this firm that they are very timely in assisting with the audit process as well, which will be very helpful.
Good. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
I'll vote out. I'll vote out.
I have the December meal report from the sheriff's office, and just need to have that straight off the minutes, please.
You heard the request, Chancery Clerk.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
I need to have the January bonds spread across the minutes. They are from Melanie Murray, Jerry Buckle, Claudia White, Darius Woods, Don Bates, Donnie Williams, and Terrence Bailey.
Second. Motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
I'm sure all the board received this correspondence as well, but I did receive as an application for the county employee scholarship application or scholarship through MAS. I think that was sent out via email to you by Brandon, but just notifying everybody of that application that was sent out. And it looks like the deadline is February the 1st. So if y'all know any employees who sort of want to apply for that, the deadline is approaching. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Clerk Page, do you have anything?
I do not.
Thank you. County Administrator, Angie King.
Okay, first thing we're gonna have, I passed around the proposals for our life insurance with the county. The company that we're currently with has gone up. So I spoke with Mr. Henley, and he's gotten some quotes from other companies, and so that's why I gave you a list of them. Not for you to make a decision today, but for you to look at it to see which ones that you all will be more interested in. Okay, so this is for review for right now for today.
Okay. When is this? When we have to have this?
We have to have it done. You know, our new year, insurance year is April 1st.
Okay.
So it has to really be ready for the, you need to do it.
Do you have a recommendation on this? I looked over and I saw some good points, bad points, depending on.
Well,
the lowest not always the best, but.
Well, he seems to think, when I talked to him, that he was more impressed with that.
It really, well, I mean.
And
who was more impressed?
Henry.
Who?
Bill Henry.
Okay. Was more impressed with the lowest?
Right, yeah.
And it was lowest the best in this case.
Right, he's familiar with them because when you look at the name, you get, Supervisor Hutchins, we had them before.
Right, we did. Let me ask you this question also. Do this for me. Look at the policies of what, you got lowest and, whatever. Look at their policies and see, does it, is a better policy than the other one, or is it the same policy or something like that?
Well, it's the same amount.
It's gonna be the same amount.
He put and he went across the board with the same numbers. Okay. 1.5% of the salary max out of 50,000.
Okay.
So all of it, everything is the same.
Okay. That's the.
So, do we need to go ahead and vote on this?
I think you need to look at it.
I mean,
because he said he's probably coming to the next meeting himself.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he'll sign it, look at it.
All right.
Okay, I have three invoices and they are real outstanding invoices that from JKS that was as paid. And I wanted the board's approval to pay them. The first one is for services June the 15th, 2021. And it was for State Park Road water line relocation for $1,050.
What is that, an invoice for state?
St. Park Road, moving the water line.
Water line allocation that was back in June. These are outstanding that need to be paid.
Do we need to vote on them?
You
You
need a
don't need to
motion.
vote on them. I think you just need to put them on the docket.
Okay,
That's it.
just,
Yeah.
okay.
They're right.
Well, for the EWPs, we had so much issue with them, so they were supposed to come and request EWPs get approved, and then once it was approved, you go on the docket to be done. So,
That's the state park project in road now, what they're doing there, which one she called out first of all.
Right. So,
But yeah, they're approved, send them to the docket. to be-
okay, so
to be
I
done.
just want to, okay.
But they're supposed to be sending their invoices. Well, Frank should do it, you ask for the candidate pay
I
for
told
the
you, if you got it clear, you came by yesterday, so
Yeah.
we discussed it, and everything's probably clear now. Now, one more thing, I need the board approval to increase the road department budget in the amount of $1,855,349. That's to pay for the debris.
So,
That has already been paid, so the debris is just out of it. And also to increase the revenue, because we got expected revenue of $1,623,000, or 31, so.
that's a motion, that's a second.
Motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
And that's all I have for today.
All right. Scott, we can go ahead and approve the contract with Bridges pending legal review.
I've had that already written in motion, but I sent them a notice, and that's why I asked for costs and everything else.
Okay, all right. I have a new hire for telecommunicator for $12 an hour. Her name is Lavina Marie Smith.
So,
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ricky, you still on there? Okay, I'm gonna have him. Last time I remember hearing him was the December meal.
I have a request for travel.
Randy and Paige, put Supervisor Gray absent with excuse. I have it at the December meal after that motion.
I have a request for travel for Supervisor Hutchins and Supervisor Gray to NACO conference. And,
that's been already approved. You just need to sign.
was not in the minutes.
It should be. It's good. Yeah, approved.
Well, I'll check, let's see.
Let's go. Okay.
Can I get a motion?
So,
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. I believe that's all I have. I would like to say, send my condolences to Supervisor Gaines and his family, also the family of the cathedral student and the cathedral students who were affected by this. It's been a lot of bad news here lately, but hopefully we're on the uphill side of it and things will get better.
I think we need a close determination.
We got a motion for closed determination?
we got one?
Got a motion by Supervisor Hutchins, second by Supervisor Wilson. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.